That's correct. That's correct. All right. So Anthony just asked me about compound fracturing my femur and my four-wheeler accident. So I decided I'd record it because I tell the story a lot. So why not just put it out there? Um, I was working on a farm after high school with two high school buddies. And it was a summer where there was a lot of rain and it was a really big farm. The guy did grass, rotational grass fed, um, dairy milk. You know, he had been to New Zealand and it was what his thing that he did. So I typically milked at a parlor, like 650 cows every morning. That was way out in the middle of nowhere because all the pasture was just around it. So there was a big long driveway to go to that parlor. And because of all the rain that summer, they put up these like gravel mounds on the driveway. And so like I would go down this hill and you jump the mounds. And I did this like every day on the four-wheeler. Like boom, boom. You know, you get to the bottom of the hill, you go around kind of a little hill, and then you go up over a hill. Well, when I was going down the big hill, I had a coworker come up over the other hill, and then, you know, as I was going around the corner, I looked up and he was just there. So I hit the brakes and I swerved, and then the front part of the car hit the front wheel, pushed it into my leg, and then I went flying off like a slingshot and I snapped my femur like over the handlebars. And then the guy like, well, I thought I was dead. Then I thought I was okay. Then I thought my leg was amputated. And then I saw a hole in my jeans with the bone marrow and blood all over, and my ankle was flopped sideways. And the guy that was in the car, my coworker, he got out and he was running at me, like yelling at me. He thought I was okay. And so he's yelling at me about the damage to the car and the four-wheeler. And I looked at him and I'm like, I compound fractured my femur and I broke my ankle. Like, go call an ambulance. So then he's still yelling at me. He finally realizes, so he turns and he runs and he goes, gets in the car, and I'm cussing, saying all kinds of things to him, like, let's get on this, buddy. Then he's turning around and he's going back to the parlor where I milk every day. There's no phone there. This is no cell phones. Like, there's no, I'm like, dude, you're going the wrong way. There's no phone there. So now I'm really cussing at him, like, let's go the other direction, bud. So I'm waiting there, and the next thing I know, the guy I milk with every day, his truck comes flying over the hill, and he comes to a skidding halt, and I'm like, "Don't stop, don't stop! Like, go call an ambulance. I compound fractured my femur and I broke my ankle." And the other guy that was in the vehicle who I hit gets out, and he's all concerned about getting in trouble. He's on Huber, and this is like a private driveway, and I'm like, "Dude, this is an accident. I don't care. Like, it's whatever. Just get away from me. I don't care." And a little bit of time goes by, and the daughter, she shows up, and she knew I was a wuss. She knew I had had stitches a bunch of different times in my life and just didn't deal well. And so she, when she showed up, she grabbed my t-shirt and she like pulled it up over my head and she was like, stop looking at it. Because I was just trying to figure out like how to stop the pain of like, I don't guess I'm imagining the muscles being ripped from the bone compound fracturing and whatever. Like, I'm just you know, it sucked. So she pulled that up over, and then she told the other guy, she's like, just stay away from him, like leave him alone. And so little, I don't know, long time probably. It's probably like 15 minutes total for an ambulance to show up. Well, the ambulance that showed up is from a small town in Wisconsin, Belmont. So they put me in the ambulance. They're like, where do you want to go, Platteville or Dodgeville? And I was like, anywhere but Platteville. I'd already had hospital experiences with stitches in Platteville's hospital. So that was the only reason I was saying that, but that turned out to be kind of a funny story later on. And on the way, they didn't have an IV, they didn't have any medication, like they had nothing. I was asking for somebody to just hit me over the head with a hammer and knock me out. Like I just wanted to stop feeling the pain. And they then pull over into this Dairy Queen parking lot in Mineral Point that before the new highway went through, it was like a big meetup place because it's a big parking lot. Well, here's another ambulance from Mineral Point, and they get in and they've got an IV, but they don't have any medication or pain medicine. So when they get in, I'm like NASCAR. I'm like, they're in, go, 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 go. And they're like, Joe, they're just gonna give you an IV, and then they're gonna, they're not going with us to the hospital. And I was like, it's 5 miles, they can ride. Like, let's go. Now, I'm going on like 20, 25 minutes since the accident at this point, right? So we then get to the hospital and they came running out with like morphine, and they immediately injected morphine. And then I pretty much was gone. Um, my mom and dad had moved away because I graduated high school. So they were living in or my mom was working in Oshkosh and my dad was working in Beaver Dam. And they got that call like on the other side of the state. Whew, oh, emotion. Didn't expect that. Told the story a lot. Didn't expect that. And my aunt Di, she drove from Monroe rather quickly. So I remember her before I went into surgery. Um, but mostly just gone. And then when I woke up from surgery, I had full expectation of like a complete cast, uh, like leg, like different things you see on TV, right? And I was just in a brace. And they told me they had put 3 rods in my leg. So I was like, whoa, like the expectation there got immediately better. While at the same time, like I, I didn't drink alcohol in high school, like I didn't do anything. So this morphine had me rocked. uh I don't know, for the next few days I was completely out of it for the most part. Like people came and went, but most of my recollection is all around the catheter and coming off of morphine and trying to go to the bathroom and then having to have that put back in, and then the PT coming like the first day and being like, we got to get up and go and move. And I'm like, you know what just happened to me? And they're like, no, you need to do this. And like I didn't understand any of that, but at the same time, like I had 2 big middle fingers for that PT. Like, oh man, I was not happy about that. That shit hurt so bad. Um, and that was on morphine. I remember that. uh, so yeah, interesting experience for sure. And then that was 3 weeks before my freshman year of college. So I went to I went to my parents' house now in Mayville, and they didn't have air conditioning at that house. So I laid on the living room floor under a ceiling fan, and they we're gonna have the longer beds in the college dorms, and I needed a longer bed with my leg. So my parents were like, well, we bought the sheets for college. We might as well just buy this bed to be the longer bed. So then I had a single bed to like put my leg in, and I had my leg in this machine that would like move it back and forth to like improve and increase my range of motion and like force me to do it. And I had to do that so many times a day. So the rehab side of it was really interesting, uh, becoming what I now know about health and getting into the neuro world. Like that completely was the starting point for a lot of the pain that by the time I was 2 years later, the pain I had been through to have the rods removed a year later, which I started experiencing, the rods moved and were impacting my IT band 6 months into after the initial surgery. So it was it was intense, but I went to school in La Crosse, Wisconsin, so I was blessed to go to a place where there was just tons of PTs. And then I had access to free physical therapy as well with a bunch of the students. So I had a ton of conversations with a bunch of people who were going to be athletic trainers, physical therapists, and you know, some people devoted more time to me than others and had more experience than others, and uh, were very beneficial for sure in that time period. But at the time, I found them as beneficial. But now with my neuro background, it's like, whoa, like what would have happened if I wouldn't even had some of those interactions to begin my process, right? But then by the time I was 20, 2 years later, I felt like a 70-year-old man. All my shoulders hurt, my hips hurt, like everything in my whole body hurt. Um, so that's what once I started getting on the health journey and I saw that just like a little bit of this and a little bit of this could like make you feel better, it was like that was like the drug. And then I was like that asshole who was always saying, "Hey, did you know you can do this? Hey, did you know you can do this? Hey, did you know you can do this?" Because I just kept finding all of these wins on my own journey of like, holy cow, like this stuff is really cool, right? And then I just became more and more of an expert the deeper I went in my own mindset, the deeper I went in my own digestion, the deeper I went in my own neurology. And yeah, so that it was that moment.